Hi guys!
Hello, welcome to our channel.
In today's video, we are going to take you through an interview with John, who is the owner of an amazing place where we are doing our Ashtanga yoga and personal development retreats. This place is a paradise. Behind us, you can see the food gardens. They have these awesome permaculture food gardens where we get the food for our retreat. You can also see back here there's a small shed in the background, and that's the chickens where we're getting all our organic eggs, free range eggs from.
All the fruits and veggies which you can again see in the background if Russell will turn around. So the beautiful Balinese ladies are coming here every morning to harvest different fruits and veggies, and then they are landing straight in our plate, completely fresh, completely organic, all natural. What we really love about this place is how deeply it cares about the nature around us. So all the energy is actually produced in the waterfall, a private waterfall which is here on the land. So it's coming from the hydropower. All the food, as you already know, comes straight from the garden. The eggs come straight from the little chickens right here behind us. And the chickens are also amazing help for the composting here in Bali Eco Stay.
Oops, almost fell down. So come join us for this amazing interview with Johnny, the founder and the man behind this vision at Bali Eco Stay. Hello guys, we are sitting here in Johnny's beautiful living room. You can see the jungle behind us with all this amazing green canopy, and the rest of Bali Eco Stay is right on this side. We will show you a video of it at some point. So we are really grateful, Johnny, to be able to speak to you about your vision and what you've created here. Both Ewelina and I are really impressed by what Johnny has created here. The beauty of this space, it's permaculture eco resort with a lot of the values that we also hold dear, and we can really see that it's taken many years of hard work and effort, and so there's a lot of insights and wisdom that I'm sure Johnny has to share with us today about how we can build a space like this, maybe how we can integrate this more into community style living. And I think really this is the future of how humans maybe would be most fulfilled living in spaces like this.
So Johnny, maybe if you could introduce yourself a little bit, tell a few words about where are you from and how it all began for you, all this Balinese permaculture journey.
Yeah, well, welcome you two. We love having you staying here, and very excited about the up and coming retreats. All the staff really love you, and not that I've had much to do with you so far, but it's been a joy. I come from Tasmania originally, and where Bill Mollison comes from, who's the founder of Permaculture. And I know Bill, and I've done a few courses with Bill. But my wife's really the permaculturist, and she's the one that's had the vision for this place. Really, I've been involved in hospitality for years, so I do the hospitality side of things, and she runs the permaculture gardens, and she designed the buildings and the lay of the land, and yeah, we've been here for 14 years now. And it all started. I went to a meditation weekend, and because I was having trouble meditating, and on the last day I had this vision to take the family on a trip around Australia to quit work. I was looking after restaurants back in Australia, and I had this vision to take the family on a trip around Australia. So I quit work. Off we went, and halfway through the trip, we camped next to this family who were doing a visa run from Bali in Kakadu National Park, which is close to Bali. And we just got on really well. And as we were leaving, they said, well, if you still don't know what you want to do when you finish your trip, come and visit us and we'll show you. So 6 months later, we finished our trip and jumped on a plane. And because we still didn't have a clue what we wanted to do, jumped on a plane, and here we are. The whole thing's been incredibly serendipitous. We stayed with them. we got chatting to their chef, and she said, well, we've got some land you might be interested in, because we loved the whole concept. And we came down and took one look at the river going through and the waterfall, and we knew we could run our own electricity, because being from Tasmania, all the electricity in Tasmania is hydro driven, so it just was the perfect setup for hydropower.
Wow.
And spring water bubbling up from the ground, and being able to have that in every tap has just been such a blessing. And rich volcanic soil, just all ticked all the boxes. The road down the middle of the property was sort of concerned me a little in the beginning, but it's added life to the place, and the kids come and swim in the river down below, and our village is really small, so the traffic's not that much. You know, there's 20 families. So yeah, so it's been the best thing I've ever done, to be honest, and I've loved every minute of it. Yeah, and working with the Balinese is they're just such warm-hearted, generous of spirit, and spiritual people, which is something that that you sort of miss in the West. Yeah.
And how old were you when you came here first?
55.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was how many years ago?
15 years ago.
15 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought it's longer, the place.
No, 15. No, we've been here 15 years. Yeah, and we spent 1 year building. So yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we met some of the staff, Kadek and Katut, and they
Yeah.
told us that they both work with you since 14 years.
Yes.
already.
Yeah.
So that we were like, wow, it's so
Oh, yeah.
amazing how they stay from the very beginning.
Yeah. Well,
and-
the Balinese are incredibly loyal people there. Yeah. And that's something that's been such a blessing as well. Yeah.
But this is so beautiful because when we just come into this place, actually, when we came here first time a year ago, that was, of course, all the beauty of the nature, all the values of the place itself, which you brought here with your vision. But next to it, the just energy of people, just the way how everyone interact with each other, we just felt so much welcomed into the place by everything around.
Yeah.
And we really loved how all people who work here are like really full of joy, always smiling, always wishing to help, to support, just with so much kindness. So we would like to ask you about that. How are you living in such a harmony? How you are bringing so much harmony between, I don't know, it just happens naturally, I guess, but we can see it so
Yeah.
much
Look,
from people.
I've worked in hospitality for years, and I've worked not as the boss, but working for other people. So I know how I would like to be treated. And some of the jobs I've had haven't been that great. But the jobs that I really enjoyed were with bosses who treated me like a human being and who valued me. So I think that's. But the Balinese are just very very accepting people. They're maybe too accepting. When you look at the development down south, you think, oh wow, you've got to put the brakes on a little bit. But yeah, I mean, they're very loyal, dedicated people, and I really enjoy working with them, and it's just a two-way street. Yeah, they're really lovely people, and the landowner and his family, we've always gotten on incredibly well, and we both teach each other with respect, and he's actually selected most of the staff because. And that's worked really well because they feel as though they have to do the right thing by him. So that's worked really well, and people have stayed, and and we've had a few staff members that haven't worked out, but I haven't had to say anything. The staff have made them feel, because they're either on their phone too much or hiding in the bushes when they're supposed to be working. They get a hard time from the other staff and they leave. So that's happened twice in 15 years. So it's just, but so they seem to work things out themselves. So and yeah, it's just flowed really really well. We've been very lucky. Yeah.
And did you have any fears or concerns when you first came here? Like any fears about, I don't know, about starting this project or how it would pan out? What was going through your mind when you first came here?
Well, I knew that I couldn't that I couldn't work in busy restaurants for much longer, you know, because I was, you know, getting on in my mid-50s, late 50s, and I had a few health issues. So it was a big jump, but I knew I had to do something. And you know, I meditated on it many times, and it just felt really right. And I mean, there's always, people would say, "Oh, you're going to Indonesia? It's so corrupt over there, and you really, you know, want to invest all your money in Indonesia?" And it was just a leap of faith, really. It just felt right, especially being in Bali. And I mean, as long as you're patient, things just work out, you know. You do the right thing, you do the offerings, you look after the school, you look after, you know, we sort of collect all the rubbish from the surrounding villages, just things like that. We teach music and dance at the school and English, and we, you know, support the banjar, the local banjar, help with the road repairs and things like that. So as long as you're contributing and doing the right things, and you know, we're living in someone else's country, so you've got to have respect. And you hear the people that don't work out well, it's because they haven't respected the culture, which is so important. Yeah, it's such an amazing culture too, so devotional, and it's just so inspiring, and yeah, very gentle. Even the men have just a gentleness about them that's I found extraordinary, and just really amazing to live in this sort of environment. I mean, Australia's a great country, but there's a harshness to it, and a harshness to the people, whether it's the climate or I don't know what it is, or the sort of ex-colonial attitude they have. But it's much softer here, much more gentle on the soul. Yeah.
Like we can see every morning as well how there is the older Balinese man who's coming every day and preparing so many offerings.
Yes,
So every day he
yeah,
has so many offerings,
yeah,
and then he goes from one corner of the place to the other,
yeah. Yeah,
sending his prayer.
yes. Well, he's the landowner's father who sort of planted all the trees here 60 years ago.
Oh.
So you know, he's a lovely. And my son spent the first, while we were building. My son, who was 5 at the time, spent a year with him and learnt Balinese and learnt about the culture. And so my son now speaks Balinese and Indonesian and knows how to make a kite, and used to go to all the ceremonies, and quite often would excuse me, would sleep up in the village with him, and it was just a fantastic experience for him. Yeah.
How old is your son now?
He's 20.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And do you think he'll come back here, or what?
I think he will eventually. Yeah, he's got the making money bug at the moment, and he's sort of settled into back into Australia, because he had a few issues here, and the local priest said, "Oh, I think he's a bit too sensitive to live in Bali, so I think he should go back to Australia." So that's why they went back to Australia, and he went to high school back in Australia, and now he's got his own little business detailing cars and doing up cars. He's a car, because he learned how to ride a motorbike here when he was 8, and take a motorbike to pieces, and you know, because that's how the Balinese, they do all their own, they build their own houses, they do their own mechanics, they can weld, they can do electrics, they're just amazing, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, very clever. So hopefully he'll, you know, come back in the end, but at the moment he seems reasonably happy in Australia. And since they've taken away the vaccination restrictions, he and his mum are coming over 2 or 3 times a year. Yeah, which is great.
That's awesome.
But the staff send my wife a video every week, and so she keeps a track of things, because
Everything
yeah,
properly.
yeah. So she knows what's going on and what should be planted here, and you know, yeah. And they have total.
His boss is
Yeah.
wife, and that he's reporting to her always.
He
Yes.
cannot take any decision without the lady's permission.
Yeah, and we had a PDC course, which is a permaculture design course here a couple of years ago, and this was a young guy who had all the latest trends of permaculture, and the staff were they weren't happy with his new ideas and things. And we have to check with Kath before we can go ahead with that. But it all worked out well. Yeah, yeah.
Could you tell us maybe a little bit of introduction to what actually permaculture is, for everyone who's listening and who's not really sure what the topic is exactly?
Well, I think Bill Mollison, who's the founder of permaculture, and I think he spent a lot of time in Asia, and he worked out that it was much better to work with the environment and not against it. So and even with the animals, even if you have animal husbandry, you have animals that work in with the environment, and you don't disturb the watercourses, and you build buildings that attract the wind, so you don't need air conditioning and fans even in an environment like this. So it's working with nature, not against it. That's the basic principle of permaculture. Permaculture design and fluidity of the land. Yeah. So.
And how does it come into the garden, into the food which you are growing?
Yeah, well, I mean, we grow our vegetables in swales, which is the way the Asians have grown rice for years and years and years, and they flow into each other. So when it rains, you're not losing everything. The water backs up behind each swale and goes into the soil slowly. And one thing that Bill has developed and which is most important with vegetable gardens especially, is composting, which is something that he developed a lot more than the Asians had. And so there's a big composting system. We have a special chicken system that as well as giving us our eggs, they make our compost for us. So we throw all the excess greens in there and they toss over them, and then once a week we put some cow manure in there, and then their manure. And then every 4 months, you'll notice there's a huge pile outside the. Yeah, it's a massive pile, and then we put a tarpaulin over that just for another couple of months to get it up to about 60 degrees, which kills all the pathogens, so you don't have any weeds or anything in the compost. And then all the seeds we grow in this compost, so so the seeds get a really good start till they get about this height, and then we plant them in. Because if we put the seeds straight in the ground, all the ants would take the seeds away. So we have to propagate first.
They need a nursery.
Yeah. So that's why we have the nursery, and yeah. So it's worked really well. But composting is a really important part of permaculture. Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about your vision for Bali Eco Stay when you began, and how it has changed 15 years later today?
Well, I guess we were going to build, for instance, we were going to build 8 bungalows, but we ended up thinking, oh no, we really want them to be, each bungalow to be private, so we reduced the number. Maybe in the future, during COVID, I've leased both sides of the property just to protect us from overdevelopment. Not that there's much really happening, but during COVID there was a lot of sort of activity, people wanting to get away from big cities like Surabaya and Jakarta. So maybe we'll build some more later on. But it's just been improving the soil, and we're about to improve our hydro system because we can get some batteries now that can be recycled. Up till now, we've had enough to run everything but our refrigeration off the hydro. But now with the new battery system that can be recycled, we should be pretty much off the grid. So that's an exciting new development. And yeah, we've just been improving, and it's having all the buildings being wood. It's constant maintenance. So even though we've got 25 permanent staff, it's a constant battle to keep everything in check and make sure the Wi-Fi is working for all the guests, and because the trees grow up so quickly, and the ants get in everywhere. So, and of course, being an eco business, we can't use any poisons. Most of the bungalows have little water moats around them, so the ants can't cross them. But of course, they get in occasionally if there's a leaf that falls over the moat or a twig. The little horror. Yeah, but I mean, the ants are just doing what ants do. It's not. Yeah, it's just a bit uncomfortable when they get in the bed with you. That's it. But there are ways around that. You just you make sure after you have a massage you have a shower or just to get the oil off you, because they love coconut oil.
And I see how you're finding the solutions for all these things.
Yeah.
We have the glass jar in each room.
Yes,
where we can put all kind of food.
Yeah, because the mice come up, especially after harvesting the rice. They're looking for food, so they're and if you have you have to protect everything.
Yeah.
Even your cosmetics, they'll, you know, if they're really hungry, they'll
They
chew
like
it.
my natural deodorant
Yeah,
very
yeah.
much.
Yeah, they're ravenous sometimes, and unfortunately, you know, nesting time, they love mosquito nets, so they'll chew big holes in the mosquito nets, and so it's a, you know, it's a battle to keep everything up, but it's, you know, but it's well worth it. Yeah.
And how about the buildings which you made? All the 8 bungalows, each of them is so unique and so
Yeah,
immersed in
yeah,
nature and built out of wood.
yeah. They're all built out of mostly local wood. We did make a big mistake in the beginning. We built out of coconut wood from the property, which the Balinese were too polite to say, "Oh, I don't think that's a good idea," because one, it's the insects like the termites know the wood and prefer to eat it, and two, you know, this is one of the wettest areas of Bali, so coconut woods doesn't go so well in the wet. So we've had to pretty much rebuild everything since, you know, in the last 15 years, because the termites got in, or the damp managed to get into the. So we've now used a wood called Bankara, which comes from Kalimantan. It's plantation timber, certified. So that's been a big learning curve. We even built a kiln, but we only had the wood in for 10 days, which apparently wasn't long enough. It should be 21 days, because coconut wood needs. Back, you know, hundreds of years ago, they would bury the coconut wood. The locals would bury the coconut wood in mud for a year, and that petrified it. So it made it a lot stronger and tougher. But it's beautiful wood. It works really well down on the coast, but not so well up here. Yeah. So that's been a big learning curve, and I just like wood. You know, people say, oh, everything's, you know, too dark, but because it, you know, Bali's a reasonably hot tropical place. I think it's nice to be able to retreat into a house where it's cooler, and yeah, but it does take a lot of maintenance. Yeah.
For sure. But with the cooling, this natural cooling system, it's
Yeah,
something
yeah.
what is amazing with so
We're
much.
really lucky. We've got this beautiful valley, and most of the prevailing winds come from off the coast. So there's always a light breeze. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to cool things down. And at night, you really got to rug up, you know, because it gets quite cool.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
sleep with a thick blanket.
Yeah. Yeah, which is nice to be able to sleep in the cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, and not have to worry.
definitely.
Yeah.
And if you were to, Johnny, if you were to start afresh today with this whole project, what would you do differently from when you began in the beginning? Of course, using wood that is not native to this land, and what else would you do differently?
I don't know. It's the whole thing's gone incredibly well. I don't know that I'd change much. I mean, working with the Balinese has just been unbelievably rewarding, and everything's worked really well, apart from the few mistakes, well, major mistakes building. But you know, it was all doable. I mean, for instance, if something like that had happened in Australia, we probably would have gone bankrupt. For instance, with this house, we didn't get the locals to build this one. We got a friend of a friend, and he didn't use the wood that he said he was going to wood, so it was eaten out within 6 months. So the locals came in, jacked everything up, took away the bad wood, and then poured concrete and steel. So it looks like wood, but it's done with a thing called cement Warner on the outside, which makes it look very natural, but it's just cement and steel, and that's really fixed the termites. But they did that in 6 months, and they didn't say we told you so, because they didn't really like the guy that we got to build this our house, and we thought they were just saying it because they were angry that we didn't use them to build our house, but they were right. Yeah. Listen to the Balinese. Yeah. Yeah, so we would no. Look, it's just been a really wonderful experience, and I don't think I'd change much apart from, maybe listening and asking more questions. Being in Aries, I tend to rush in a bit, and I think I'll probably ask more questions next time instead of just going ahead without, getting some different opinions and things is probably a good idea.
I see.
Yeah.
That's a great advice.
Yeah. And and the Balinese are only too willing to give it. You know, if you ask, you know, they're only too happy to you know.
we just have to ask.
Yeah, just have to ask. Exactly. Yeah.
I have a question that just came to my mind. If you would choose 3 most important values which you just live by in your place, what would be the 3 most important life values?
Kindness, acceptance, and kindness, acceptance, and kindness, acceptance, and willingness to learn. Yeah.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you two for being here. It's been an absolute delight.
We are
Yeah.
really blessed
Yeah.
because we've been looking for a place which has all these beautiful, inspiring values, and cool. The place which really lives by it, where everything is aligned with nature, with all the
Yeah.
respect, with all the love for nature, with all the love for people, for the local people around here, and the respect. And we're so blessed to be able to find you and your beautiful gem in the middle of the forest, and where we can experience life in the jungle, and where our guests can come, practice yoga, and really
Yeah.
connect to themselves, connect back to nature. And that's something also beautiful where, when we were worrying first if people will be really willing to connect with nature easily because we're coming from the cities. Maybe some people are not so comfortable with insects here and there showing up sometimes, some gecko on top of the ceiling.
Gecko.
Exactly.
Wake you up at night.
But the beautiful thing is how everyone is just so happy with the place, and it also empowers us so much.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
girls who are coming from big cities and they are staying here now for a week, they are all so happy to reconnect back to nature, and they feel so strong and confident on living in their own little private bungalow in the middle of forest, going in the morning for a swim to the waterfall, and just slowing down. I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
we
It's really
all need
important.
this
Yeah.
to slow down a little bit and to get back to nature.
Yeah. Yeah, it's better. Yeah, and the Balinese are just such wonderful exponents of that because they move slow. Everything's a much slower pace, and it rubs off onto us, and we feel very blessed. Yeah.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but when you began the project, it was mainly like a homestay where people would come and families or couples would come and stay for a few nights. And now you are renting out the space a lot to many different retreat leaders,
Yes.
people who are
Yeah.
hosting their retreats. So, how did that transition happen? Did it happen organically, or did you think of it, or?
Well, um, it it just happened organically, pretty much. But our friends that have the eco lodge further up the mountain, they wanted us. They were very helpful with us setting the whole place up, and they were the people that we met in back in Australia that said, "Come and we'll show you what to do." They wanted us to create a point of difference. So and they didn't like the idea of doing retreats. So I thought, oh, okay, well, we'll do retreats. And so we'll start doing retreats. And it's proven to be, it's much less carbon footprint, much less wastage, much less toing and froing with transport. And people seem to get a lot more out of it because they're staying here for more than 2 or 3 days, and they're really getting into themselves and into into the place and the environment and the Balinese, and it's a lot more powerful experience, I think, and works better for everyone. Yeah. So and so that was it. Sort of happened very slowly, but over the last few years, it's really taken off. Yeah, yeah, and it's a much more powerful experience for everyone. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. A place like this, you really need to be here for a week at least
Yes, yeah,
to ground down and to
yeah,
like really relax and feel the
yeah.
changes that are happening here.
Because it can be confronting, the first few days, especially if people have come from a big city. Everything's open and we don't lock anything, and the insects and different food and being able to drink water from every tap. All those sort of things are um, a you know, it's a bit unusual to start with. So yeah,
Mm.
and then but after 2 or 3 days, it's you know you see people really start to relax and chill and
Yeah, I can
absorb
say that. I can
everything.
say that for myself because
Yeah,
I came here. We were teaching quite a bit right before this, and we were quite stressed with the marketing for our retreats and getting people to
yeah,
join, and like the back and forth with all the messages and all the teaching. And so when I came here, I was a bit like stressed and in this go 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 mode. And I really feel like even though I'm continuing to teach here, it's not like I'm on a complete holiday.
yeah.
So I'm still teaching, but I really feel much more calm and
Oh, great.
relaxed and
Yeah,
peaceful. So
Mm.
yeah, I could say for myself that this place really, it has a healing vibe,
yeah,
which
yeah,
we also, Evelina and I do retreats in Ubud, as some of you might know. And in that place, I don't feel, even though it's really beautiful, it's in the rice fields, I don't feel relaxed and calm. It's still like I'm on work. Here, I kind of feel like I'm on work, but I'm also on holiday. I have
Mm.
this, this dual feeling here.
wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really blessing. We are very grateful to you, Johnny, for hosting us here.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure.
And we look
Looking
doing
forward to
many more
more.
retreats
Yeah.
here.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. Our dream is to just have all our retreats in this beautiful
Oh, great.
place because it just has everything we could like dream about to share with our students who are coming here to invest in their health, invest in peace of their mind, in finding their own healing in all different ways, physical,
Yeah,
mental,
yeah,
emotional. And this place and its people, it just helps us so much with it.
yeah. Fantastic. Well, yeah, that's what we're here for.
Yes.
And yeah, looking forward to seeing you all here.
Yes, please come and visit, and that will be the most incredible experience. Thank you so much for
Take
watching.
care, everyone.
Bye.